A shocking incident was reported from Mumbai where a promising young pilot, Srishti Tuli, died by suicide in her flat in Mumbai on Monday. The 25-year-old pilot's uncle later approached the police alleging that her boyfriend, Aditya Pandit, would harass and humiliate her publicly and often pressurized her to change her food habits. Now, based on her uncle's complaint, Aditya was arrested on Tuesday. He was taken into custody under charges of abetment to suicide and he has been sent to 4 days of police custody. Srishti and Aditya met each other in Delhi 2 years ago while training for commercial pilot's license. After the training, she got a job with Air India and moved to Mumbai in June 2023. The CCTV footage from Tuli's society shows that she reached home after work on Sunday. Aditya Pandit alleges that she called him and revealed that she was going to take the extreme step. Now, Aditya Pandit, who was en route Delhi, rushed to Mumbai and found the door of her flat locked from inside. Her boyfriend got the door opened with the help of a key and found her hanging. He rushed her to the Seven Hills Hospital in Marol, where Srishti Tuli was declared dead. Soon, her family and the police were informed. Postmortem has confirmed death by suicide and the forensic lab is trying to unlock Srishti Tuli's phone to analyze her conversations with the accused. Statements from her family members, close friends, colleagues and roommates are also being recorded. All right, first to talk about this, I am joined by Mr. Vivek Tuli. He is the uncle of Srishti Tuli. Vivek ji, good evening. Namaskar. First of all, our condolences to you. It is extremely unfortunate that this had happened to Srishti, such a young life having been lost. But first of all, help us understand कि हुआ क्या था वो पूरा incident हमें बताइए जब आपको पता लगा that Srishti is no more.
उसने कभी कुछ हम लोग को कोई ये नहीं बताया कि उसका कोई रिलेशनशिप किसी के साथ है, बट हाँ, जब कल 25 तारीख की मॉर्निंग में मेरी बेटी ने मेरे को फोन किया और बताया कि पापा सृष्टि अब नहीं रही, तो मेरे समझ में नहीं आया ये क्या बोल रहे हैं सुबह सुबह। फिर मैंने बोला कि जिस फोन नंबर से आपका फोन आया है उस पर मेरे को बात कराइए। जब मैंने फोन किया तो वो फोन एक लड़की ने उठाया जिसका नाम उर्वी है, और मैं 30 से 35 सेकंड तक उससे पूछता रहा कि बेटा क्या हुआ है, आई एम रेडी फॉर एनीथिंग यू टेल मी। शी डिड नॉट आंसर एनीथिंग एंड शी देन very lightly gave the phone to somebody which I don't know who was he, कि आप इससे बात कर लीजिए, ये आपको बताएगा क्या हुआ है। Then I asked that person कि बेटा क्या हुआ है, आप मेरे को बताओ। He said हम एक 100-150 कॉल किए सृष्टि को, बट सृष्टि फोन नहीं उठाई, तो हम लोगों ने की वाले को बुला करके और हम लोगों ने दरवाजा खुलवाया तो उसमें वो लटकी हुई मिली हमको। मैंने बोला ऐसा है बेटा, आप कौन हो? तो बोला मतलब वो सृष्टि के साथ काम करता हूँ। So that means he would have been a pilot too. So I said, you both are responsible pilots. क्या आपने ताला खुलवाने से पहले पुलिस को बुलाया? तो बोले नहीं। मैंने बोला कब, जब आप एंटर किए आप लोगों ने कोई फोटोग्राफ खींची सृष्टि की जो लटकी हुई थी? आप डिड यू चेक द पल्स? यू बोथ आर ट्रेन्ड पायलट्स, हैव यू चेक्ड इट? तो he rang up the he put off to the phone. And he did not answer my questions. Then again I called that. Then a doctor called, told me, sir, ये अब नहीं रही है सृष्टि, उसकी death हो चुकी है. And we want to, what we should do? And first, immediately call the cops and tell me what has happened. So he also put down the phone and said, आप मेरे को बस आधार कार्ड भेज दो. So I sent my Aadhaar card of Srishti, and then they informed, I think at 7:30 or something, 7:45, they informed the police.
Vivek ji, you have alleged that Aditya is responsible for this, for Srishti taking this drastic step. What made you feel that he is the one who might have led her to take this step?
As per what I was prima facie I saw, and the friends told me that he used to abuse her. He used to, publicly he used to abuse her, so that she मतलब वो बहुत upset हो जाया करती थी. Then I investigated the bank accounts. Then I saw a good amount was transferred to his relatives within this month only. On 31st of December, 15,000, and 5th of November, 50,000 rupees. So I see as angle of blackmail also.
In all of this, Vivekji, have you heard from Aditya's family? Have they reached out to you? Have they communicated with you?
No, neither they came to me. I was there. I was sitting all night on in the police station. They never came to me. They never talked to me. They never told me what has happened, what was not happening.
Can I also understand from you, Vivekji, how was Srishti as a person? Kaisi thi? Was she outspoken? Did she share her, experiences with her family? How was she as a person?
Srishti was a very brilliant student and a very strong girl, very, very strong girl, because she had inherited that same thing from her Baba, matlab her grandfather, who laid down his life in the 1971 war for the people for India. And her Dadi is being addressed as the Iron Lady of Purvanchal. How can you think a granddaughter of such bright people could go for a suicide? We can never in the family, never the friends, whether if you would have been knowing Srishti, you will be also saying that she can never commit a suicide.
And therefore, Vivekji, that leads to my next question as to why then would Srishti take such a drastic step, such as taking her own life?
She she did not take. Please, ma'am, stop saying it's a suicide. It's a cold-blooded murder, well-planned murder. And I say, not only Adit Pandit is involved. There are a few more people. Police has to go inside the case and search for them.
You're calling it cold-blooded murder. You're saying that there is foul play involved in it.
Not suicide. Direct foul play. This is happening because when we visited the house, there is a black spot which is not covered under CCTV. That is the door of Srishti Tuli's house and towards the stairs, and the entire stair doesn't have a CCTV.
What is the police saying, Vivek ji? Ab kya keh rahi hai police as far as the investigation is concerned?
The police is doing their best. They are going as per the points they have. They have the proofs. They are going as per them. But I am pretty sure as the time passes, they will find more evidences and they will catch hold of the culprits.
Okay, my last question to you, Vivek ji, how do you plan to take this forward? What is your next course of action?
What you can understand, a girl जिसको 25 साल हमने पाला, आज वो नहीं है, किसी ने उसकी जान ले ली, कैसा फील कर रहे होंगे हम? हमारा नेक्स्ट कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन यही है कि वी नीड जस्टिस. If the Mumbai police gives us, well and good, because my grandfather was in Punjab police. We belong to the family. My father was an army officer. So we belong to such a family which is wearing a uniform. So I have full faith in the uniform and I know I will get justice. If I don't get justice, then I will go to my chief minister of UP, Yogi Adityanath, and put my head in his feet and say that I need justice. I need justice for my daughter. I just want to know what the truth was.
Vivek Tuliji, thank you very much for speaking with us on Mirror Now. Our condolences once again. This is a tough time that your family is going through. But thank you very much for joining with us on Mirror Now and speaking your heart out as far as this big loss to your family is concerned. Thank you very much. With that, viewers, let me also welcome Dr. Vandana Singh, who is an aviation entrepreneur. She's somebody who's also seen such cases in the past. I'm also joined by Khushbu Jain. She is an advocate. We're also expecting Mr. P.K. Jain, former additional DGP, to join us on the broadcast. Good evening, namaskar to both of you. Dr. Vandana Singh, let me begin with you. Here's a young girl who's a pilot. You would think she's a strong young girl. She's a 25-year-old girl, a bright girl who's gone on to become a pilot. She's trained to be strong. And yet, this is something that she cannot deal with, and she chooses to take her own life instead of walking away from the man.
Well, thank you for having me on this show, Shreya. And my first thoughts are for the family and deep condolences, because this is a tragic loss of life that was so well trained, and of a daughter which was so patriotic and so well groomed. So I hope the police conducts the investigation and looks into this, and justice is brought to the family. Coming on to what happens here, well, whether it's the aviation industry or, for example, it's a surgeon, time and discipline play a very important role. Work-life balance play a very important role. And often we see youngsters, young people, 25 to 30-year-old to 35-year-old, these days coming into this kind of a situation where they are facing existential angst, isolation, a sort of meaningless to life. And behind it could be a sort of harassment, could be something that could be troubling them. And when such cases of toxic relationships, for example, come to me, then I always first tell them to take a break. They should take at least 1 or 2 days break to first ease themselves, because it could be either a mountain of a molehill or a molehill of a mountain. But then there are mentors, there are seniors, there are parents who always give the right guidance to the children. And if it is a relationship where you are facing this kind of harassment, you have to give time to the person to speak up. And if the person has to open up and not let it go under the carpet. And in such tragic cases, more often than not, the person has not spoken up or is trying to give body language signals but is not coming in. So I always try to counsel them, and I always try to tell them that first of all, you speak up and tell what's going wrong, and then assess it, take a break, because this is not the be-all and end-all of life. If you have to step away from someone, you have to step away from someone. You can't just be in a toxic relationship.
Yeah,
But
that takes,
this is what HR
that, takes different time periods for different people.
Yeah.
Dr. Vandana, yeah. It takes a lot of courage and different time periods for different people to come up and speak up about what they have gone through. Yes, but let me also welcome Mr. P.K. Jain into this conversation. And Mr. Jain, I want to understand from you, these are cases, Namaskar, these are cases where abetment to suicide is, it's probably a gray area. How do you prove abetment to suicide if you do not have some sort of evidence to prove that, yes, this person was being tortured? If you and I are speaking verbally, how do you prove to a third person that, yes, indeed, it was abetment to suicide? How does the police then, approach such cases?
Good evening, Shreya. Thank you very much for inviting me to the show. My condolences to the family. Unfortunate incident where a young life has been lost. See, in such cases, generally, if it is a case of a suicide or it's a case of murder or abetment to suicide, there are only 3 scenarios in this. Murder is ruled out. The abetment to suicide or suicide is the only thing that the police has to decide. Now, what happens is the circumstantial evidence. If the victim has been speaking to the relatives or to parents or to friends about some kind of a harassment prior to committing suicide, those statements help. That is one. Second is, unfortunately, as far as abetment is concerned, the courts generally look at as to what role did the perpetrator had to play in this. Now, in this case, if she had spoken to the so-called accused 15 minutes before she committed suicide, now, if the accused had spoken words like, okay, go ahead, hang yourself, or something like that, only then it becomes suicide. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult to prove a case of suicide in abetment to suicide in such cases. So, as you very rightly said, the evidence just before and maybe immediate prior to the incident, and her having spoken to the friends or relations or parents, these are the only statements one can rely upon. The fact of suicide is not disputed or debated. It is only these circumstances leading to the suicide which are important. Shreya.
Yeah, yeah. Khushbu Jain, you want to come in on this? You know, there have been several instances in the past as well. And I want to refer to the graphics that we are being playing on our screens, which is that of the past cases of high-profile suicide cases, whether it was Jia Khan or Pratyusha Banerjee or Tanisha Sharma or even somebody, you know, an actress such as Nafisa Joseph, who back in the day had committed suicide. But the accused in these cases were taken into custody. They had to be let go because of, in most cases, it has been the lack of evidence. How does law then take its own course in such cases? How does one go about it?
See, if you talk about law, abetment of suicide is a punishable offense. There is a 10 years of imprisonment and they're also liable to fine. So abetment to suicide is a punishable offense which is recognized or was recognized in IPC and is recognized in the BNS, the new law. But at the same time, when you talk about abetment, one has to understand what is abetment. Abetment is nothing but it involves a mental process of instigating a person or intentionally aiding the person in doing a thing which leads to something like this. And without any specific positive act on that part of that accused, the person you're putting in accused, to instigate or aid in committing the suicide, conviction becomes difficult or it cannot be sustained in the court of the law, if I have to put it across. And that's where the problem comes in, because when you talk about these things, these are personal relationships between two individuals. A lot of times it's what's conspiring between the two individuals is not known to any third party, and that's where the lack of evidence has come in play. And I think that's where the matter, despite arresting these people, becomes weak. I'm not saying that sure the person has to be, because without evidences we cannot put anybody behind the bars, but there has to be some reason for girls at this stature with such background and such
Yeah.
position are committing suicide. But at the same time, see, one has to understand the law, and that's where I would bring in that apart from when it comes to law is there. When it comes to evidences weakens because we don't share in our personal relationship things with the third party. And I think that's where I think all the girls, all of us who are getting into a relationship, who are having an relationship before or after marriage, need to share if there is a little bit of atrocity, mental agony, or any of those things, to share those things with people. Let there be part of the record, so that tomorrow, if something like that happens, the family is not put to a situation where, despite losing their near and dear ones, they don't have anything against the person who has committed something. But see, again, law has to be very clear. Abetment means that you need to have a direct connection in aiding to something intentionally, which has led to something like that. Otherwise, tomorrow, Shreya, you and me are fighting. I do something, it comes to you. You're like, Arey, this is a normal fight happening between me and her. Her mental state was such that she committed. Or there can be 10 different
Yeah.
situations that I'm going through, and your one line can come to a situation which, instigated me and put me down. So then one cannot put you. So see, there has to be that thin
Yeah.
balance, which need to be delicate balance, which need to be maintained. But yes, this is a situation which I think none of us should come across or see across anybody, any girl going through in our country.
Yeah, and I think it's taken case-to-case basis. It can't be a generalized, approach to each case when it comes to abetment to suicide. But Dr. Vandana Singh, all of us in the panel have been talking about how people need to speak up and share what they've gone through, even if it takes some time. Now, unfortunately, this is the age of social media, where all of us are aware of the fact that we have to speak up. There has been a Me Too movement as well. There have been several cases where young girls have spoken up, and today's girls are modern girls, modern women who are financially strong. They have their own careers. They are mentally strong. Yet, in such situations, what is the kind of mindset that you see that they're still not able to speak up, that they're still fearing some sort of taboo or some sort of hesitation that they have in speaking up?
Shreya, it's always like that. If you see today's time, we talk about, once again, I say work-life balance. But is there work-life balance? I question that. So where do you get time to sit and analyze what you're going through? First of all, you need the time. Secondly, you need to speak it out. Now, when there is so much of pressure from every angle, how do you go and talk about a fact that you're going through public humiliation in this case? or harassment in that case, whatever it is, one has to open up, and one has to find a way to open up, and one has to have the courage like we spoke earlier. So what I do is I always tell people to speak up and break away if one has to break away from a relationship that is toxic. But at the end, the seniors have to come in, the counselors at your company, in this case pilots, your peers, they should be talking to you, you should be opening up, because a lot of young girls and a lot of men as well are going through it. And here you're talking about 100% accuracy, where you have to be 100% accurate. You can't have one decimal point of disturbance. You just can't do anything like that. You're flying an aircraft, so imagine the pressure. You have back-to-back schedules. You have people running, your rosters are changing all the time. You have red-eye flights. So you're anyway disturbed. You're anyway stressed. On top of it, you have a situation like this. So one has to open up. One has to be given time. And my question is are we giving time to our young pilots? Do we have enough pilots? Are they having so much pressure that they are having this red eye, they are having so much of stress, they are not able to open up, they are not able to talk, they are not able to do anything. And then you hear of such cases. This is a courageous girl coming from a very nice uniformed army background. Why would she not speak up? Why would she not tell the social media, me too? If there has been a chain of money going here or there, then one has to go behind the case. But to me, this seems to be a very bright young girl who must have spoken somewhere. Definitely, if I read it. But there are a lot of us who don't speak up.
Okay.
You know? Therefore, the need of the
Khushbu
hour
Jain, how
is
does
to
the law
just
differentiate?
open up and find counseling. I want to... I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Vandana.
Away from counseling.
Okay,
we
finish your point.
From therapy. Yeah. Yes, I said in India, we shy away from therapy. We shy away from counseling. We feel that we have a mental issue if we are going to a therapist. Whereas we don't see that it is an investment that we are doing on ourselves for our own mental well-being. Then why don't we seek therapy? Because when there is a problem, there will be a solution. But you have to see the solution. It could be elders involved, it could be parents involved, it could be peers involved.
Sure, it's just equal to when we get a physical ailment, just like,
anxiety,
we go to a doctor, Dr. Vandana. Yeah, when we have mental health issues, we should certainly seek therapy. Yeah, but Khushbu Jain, I want to understand from you, how does the law differentiate between regular disagreement in a romantic relationship versus emotional abuse that is happening?
See, again, it is case-to-case basis. There have been enough and more of judgment where judges have gone through in depth to analyze that aspect. This would come to an extent where, again, the connection that abuse has led to a situation there has been a continuous abuse where she was led to that torture that she did not had any other recourse but to commit a suicide. That's number one. The number two that comes in, there can be different cases. I'm just putting my analysis to it. The number second that comes is the situation that has come has led to a situation which made her commit a suicide. Like, for example, you speak such things, you make the person unworthy of anything and realize that there is nothing else, cut off the person from the whole world, that there is nothing else left across. And instigate them or push them towards the aspect of isolation, and from that isolation put them down to an extent that they go ahead and commit suicide. See, physical cruelty can be seen, but mental cruelty is something which can't be seen, and that's where these are the few things which can be looked upon about about isolation from the society, about abuse, as in speaking things which are being visible, about putting the person down, morally down. And then it can also go to an extent where you have involved other parties in abetment of suicide. It can be an aspect where, for example, providing of certain material or sharing of certain material which can impact the person to commit something like that. We have seen in the past with the actors that if the actor is going down, put them more down, that you're not doing good, and then keep on showing those kind of things, and then ask them to move towards the aspect where they can buy something which are substance material, which are not directly happening that they would commit a suicide, but going low on those things. So that also we have seen that how those relationship, because the impact goes very high when it comes to dependency on the person who is next to you, and if that person is interest of your love, you completely rely upon that person, and if that person makes you feel unworthy, so I think it has to be very specific case to case basis. But the only nexus court sees is that the commission has to be, mens rea has to be involved, and that should in a way result into the person committing a suicide. And also the part hypersensitiveness has to be looked
Okay.
upon, because that cannot be ignored. Like, for example, if a person is
Okay. Mr.
hypersensitive
PK
and
Jain, I want to, yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, Go ahead, Khushbu.
No, I was saying that, for example, hypersensitive is another issue which courts looks into, because a person who is super hypersensitive, it can be due to past or something else, or some other corroborative situations which can lead to something like that. Then also plays a very important role for court to decide whether this can be considered as an abetment to suicide or just a suicide.
Okay, Mr. Jain, I want you to help us understand, while we discuss all of this and the abetment to suicide, the other side of the argument is that, on the basis of the family statement, you've taken a boy into custody. Uh, uh, a lot of platforms have also completely villainized the boy. They have, already called him the murderer, even as the police investigates this case. For the police, what would be the next few steps? Currently, what would they be doing? How do they take the case forward just on the basis of the girl's family statements?
Unfortunately, Shreya, the moment a complaint comes of a cognizable case, the police are bound to register a case under the orders of the Supreme Court. If they don't register a case, they face the music of the law, provided the complainant wants to take them to the court again. So the police play safe, they register a case. Arrest, of course, as I've always maintained, should be only on the basis of certain factual information or certain information that comes to them during the course of investigation. But what happens is that the investigating officer gets pressurized by the kind of case he is registering, and the arrest is made immediately, whether it is warranted or not. So that's a fact of life. I would admit certain, slips on the part of the investigating officer also. The arrest may not be made immediately. You go about collecting your evidence. You go about, compiling the case papers as such, and at the opportune time, the arrest can be made. Now, what happens is, in such a case, as the co-panelist has earlier mentioned, that the courts look at certain specific background material. If that material is not there, the case is bound to result into acquittal. So in this case, they should have first of all registered an accidental death, then maybe graduated over to registering a case on the complaint of the parents of the deceased, and then go about collecting evidence, and then decide whether the arrest is warranted or not. Now, if there's no other external evidence available, if they can basically prove the story that the boy was on his way to Delhi and when he got a call, he came back, all these things can be ascertained, verified from the factual information on record, whether it's the call records or the time gap, the in and out entry in the society. All these things can be verified. Then only the decision to arrest should have been made. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen that way. And now suppose it doesn't, the case doesn't get proved. The boy's life is also ruined in the meantime. So look at it from both the angles. They may have certain emotional issues. They may have certain personal issues between the two of them. The girl committed suicide, though she appears to be a very career-oriented girl and all that. But whatever happened has happened. So, in my opinion, it all varies. The in quality of investigation varies from officer to officer, investigating officer to investigating officer, and the supervisory officer. So the law is very clear. The investigation, the line of investigation is very clear. I think that should have been established before any precipitating action was taken by the IO. So that is how I look at it.
Okay.
Shreya.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much to all my panelists, Mr. P.K. Jain, Khushbu Jain, and Dr. Vandana Singh for joining us on Mirror Prime and sharing your perspectives and helping us better understand this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Namaskar.
With that, viewers, it's time to wrap this broadcast up. News with the urban debate.